The wizards of Quryn tend to be a recognizable group of characters, not only because they are not usually modest individuals, but also because they tend to be attached to certain symbols and objects that characterize them, something like an esoteric uniform. To begin with, they are famous for their hats, wide-brimmed and pointed in damnary, decorated with gold thread and amulets, or hoods, horns, or caps. Turbans are the most popular among the Masad, but they are rarely the simple pieces worn by common folk. Rather, they are bulky and splendid monstrosities that the Qadar also often accompany with brutal and severe masks. Among the Varlen, those who read the gold seek it in the figures of their ancestors, often wearing the heads of some of them as helmets and helms, something in which the dreaded flame mages resemble them, for they too cover their faces with basins that look more like torture devices than garments, perhaps a reflection of their tormented spirits. And of course, there is no better hat for a mage than a crystal ball, but these artifacts are rare, and were subject to meticulous regulation after the War of Fire, and the persecution of the chronomancer mages. All magicians wear chains, often of gold, to bind them to reality. The most experienced and oldest of thaumaturges bend under the weight of thousands of links, their existences already dissolving into the tapestry's weave. The third artifact every magician carries is an abacus. These are generally tablets, discs, rings or spheres of gold and copper, with silver prongs and transistors of fey thread, inscribed with the symbols of sacred geometry, engraved in lithium. It is the object they use to enter the tapestry, since doing so through patterns found in nature is difficult, and doing so through the eyes of the victim tends to be a lengthy process, as it often traps the magician within a person's conceptual universe. Speaking of eyes, they are very important for the practice of thaumaturgy, and the most experienced magicians end up developing irises that shine with their own radiance, a gradual process that brings with it other symptoms, such as a vacant air and confusion. This is something that doesn't happen to the Taolin, who are already described as beings with unconventional behavior and glowing eyes. Wizards are generally wealthy individuals. Specifically, they tend to have a fondness for gold, which they consider one of the purest substances, and they keep it in their high towers as an element that enhances their spells and visits to the tapestry. They are also very attached to objects that magnify or distort vision, such as eyeglasses, telescopes, microscopes, spyglasses, monocles, mirrors, and kaleidoscopes. The most famous of the sects is that of the mages of Kudamar, that legendary city which no man who has not first touched the tapestry has ever seen. The exception is those who are invited, but they are few and far between. Upon their return, visitors recount impossible visions of a city of crystal, opal, and all those substances of value to humankind, rising above the tide somewhere on the shores of Mazanran. Once the sect was one of the pillars of the White Empire, but some say that for centuries the mages waited, weaving for the fall of the Taolin. Kudamar has a hierarchical structure of apprentices, adepts, mages, and archmages. It is a community, a cabal of professors and researchers, who protect one another, compete, and are permitted to associate with political and social powers outside their organization. This, of course, also allows the archmages to control their colleagues. No institution is immune to the risk of corruption. Although Kudamar is a paradigm feared and respected throughout Quryn, its members are not all powerful. They are not free from opponents, such as the Usul, the noble courts, the Babelins, and other sects of mages. Sorcerers who do not follow Kudamar's paradigm tend to be wandering mages, becoming legends in their respective communities, or associating in smaller independent sects. Magicians divide the study of their art into doctrines, which are rather arbitrary demarcations, since their fields overlap, and even magicians themselves often find that their spells don't work as they expected. Below, I will mention 6 of the most important doctrines. Atomism. Once the atomists studied matter and its composition, aided by the tapestry as their augmenting interface. But over time, the Order of the Flame arose among them, consuming the world with their ultimate power, and they jealously guarded their most potent discoveries. Thus, the survivors of the old doctrine struggled to reclaim their ancient discoveries, while fire mages relentlessly pursue them. The Order of the Flame seeks the secret of power. The classical atomists used to investigate the secret of origin. Chronomancy. For the chronomancer magicians, time is neither a line nor a circle. It is, like the tapestry, a network, fluid, interconnected, and multidivergent. Their doctrine is theoretically the most dangerous and also the least understood. They pursue the secret of eternity. Neuroarchitecture. The neurotechs are creators of impossible places. Their bridges span from a city to altered states. Their plazas concentrate the mind, and their streets collapse realities. The story of the bloodthirsty Vaida Bathir is well known. To celebrate his many conquests, he ordered the construction of a palace fit for an emperor, and the magician Nepomuk created for him an infinite fortress, in which Bathir and 584 expeditionaries were lost forever. They pursue the secret of utopia. Oneirotomy. Its most famous practitioners are the Order of the Surgeon Mages, who designed and maintained the Knights. Their study is the essence and design of people and those things that compose them, such as fervor, consciousness, logic, and reason. They also study the boundaries where the body meets reality, They are creators of physiognomic miracles, and only one realm escapes their dominion: pain, or rather, avoiding it. They are experts at inflicting it. The Sartians pursue the secret of being. Mnemology. Those who dedicate themselves to this doctrine are the greatest explorers of the tapestry. Mnemological magi are occupied with the retrieval of information, the relationship between ideas, and the recovery of secrets. They pursue the secret of origin, like the atomists. Members of both doctrines affirm that matter, the universe, also has its own memory. Arcanomancy, often known as antiquarian wizards, and associated with architectural magi. They are technicians and engineers, artists and archaeologists. They are fascinated by relics, ancient artifacts, and the creation of impossible objects, as in the case of the archmage Lucad Domecq, who is said to have created a corner from which all places in the universe could be observed simultaneously and without overlap. Arcanomancers are labeled undecisive and scattered artists by their own colleagues. No one knows if the doctrine pursues one of the great secrets in particular. Perhaps they pursue them all. What truly defines wizards is their art, which, not coincidentally, is often called thaumaturgy, the art of performing miracles. They are interested in the impossible. They do not consider themselves servants of reality. Magicians are architects of impossible worlds, builders of utopias and nightmares. According to legend, in the mythical Kudamar, the city of towers, stands an ivory monolith where, in a language no one speaks, these words are inscribed: I have not read the secret history of the world to become a spectator. Yes, the walls of the palace are made of glass, and I will build it in the heavens.